boy, that devil be trying to get us, but we're not gonna let him have the victory because we understand where there is a new level, there's gonna be new devils. So devil, you don't get no victory on today. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, we're about to dive into this show, y'all. We have Dr. Breah Cunningham about to come on. I'm going to let her come in her own little way. I'm going to let her introduce her own self, and then we're going to go from there. Dr. C, you got
Hey,
it.
hey, what
Hey,
is
how you
going
doing?
on? I'm doing great. How are
Yep.
you?
I'm good. I see we got through that little snafu. I know you were like, what's going on here? You were like, we didn't practice like that. What's going on up in here? But I told you, be prepared for it, nevertheless. All right, I'm
Oh,
about to
you
let you
ready?
have it. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks, and then we're going to go from there.
Of course, of course. Well, hello to the Raw Approach family. Thank you guys for just having me here. I would love to start with just introducing myself and just letting you know where I hail from. I am a Nashville native. I was born and raised Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, through going through high school, college. I went to high school, Maplewood High School, Panthers, go Panthers. Was definitely called to leadership at a young age. Since I was probably in the fifth grade, just leadership just exuded through my life. Church girl, grew up in the church, so you know spiritual is here. Jesus is my light and my salvation, so he is in control, and I do know he is the head of my life, so in him I live and have my being. So moving on from there, I want to just say a little bit more about me. I did end up in business, graduated from Belmont University in business administration, got my MBA from Trevecca and my doctorate. But how I got there was I worked as a support. I'm a background girl, so all the time I love to support people. I love to just be a part of the system that makes things great. So everything I'm a part of, I want to see succeed, and the drive that I give is a part of the success that I want my leaders or the people that I work with on the team to have. So about 6, 7 years ago, I worked in the nonprofit sector. I was middle management, so it was half corporate, and then you also work with a big team under you. And in that time, I ended up having a health scare where I was in the hospital every month for the last year I worked for this company. They couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I was near stroke level, and I also was having some cardiac events that the doctors could not explain. And for some reason, every time I go in, they're like, "We don't know what's going on. What do you do in work?" And once we got to those conversations, it dawned on people, well, maybe you're stressed, maybe you're depressed, maybe you're not handling the stress and the workload that you have successfully. And once I had my last event, which I did have a mild heart attack, I did have to take a look at life and revisit some things. So I did have to ultimately quit my job, and I lost myself completely. I literally came to a point to where I questioned whether I was a good leader, if I had enough skills, was the education that I had before the doctoral journey enough? Why couldn't I have resilience in my job? And it got me to a point to where I was like, I have got to do something. And I got into a doctoral program in education. I went to Trevecca for the professional practice and leadership.
Let me stop you right there. Let me
Yeah,
stop you right there. Let's back up a little bit.
let's back up.
Let's
That was
back
a
up
lot in 1 minute.
because I told you earlier. You know when you get to talking, you don't stop.
That's why I said, how long we got?
Exactly. No, but now let's back up. I think a very important piece that you was talking about there is your health, um, and not really paying attention to what it was. And I think we're gonna go into it a little bit later here. But you just want to always want to just put out there that one of the most important pieces of mental health is knowing when when you have to be able to say enough is enough. You have to
Right.
be able to do it. And so many times, I've had many people come on the show, and I even had one person that talked about, man, if you don't sit yourself down, the Lord above know how to sit you down sooner or later because you're not taking time for self. And that's the most important piece of that work-life balance that we're gonna get into. And
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to stop you right there. I didn't want to pass that over,
Yeah.
because I think that's very important as we as leaders, or people that's out here just working day in and day out. You have to take time for yourself. And I love to hear people talk more and more about how they take vacations more and more now, whether it's 2 days, 3 days, whether they don't go anywhere, whether they're just taking off work, whether they leave the country, whatever that looks like. It's needed time for self after you have gotten yourself to certain spaces in life. Hey, you know what? I deserve this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's why I love to hear people talk about, that their personal days and what it mean,
Take them.
meditating, or what it mean, going fishing, or like for me, I like to go to the lake, and I've been told that I'm out there with the wilderness and stuff like that. But the thing is, we all have to find that level of peace to separate
Yes,
from the job. And if you don't find that, then you're gonna find yourself in a worse situation, and you're just gonna be dealing with your health.
that's
Okay.
it. That's exactly
I
right.
thank you for bringing that up, but we're gonna dive into some more of this stuff later on. Now that you jumped all the way into the doctoral journey, let's talk about what that journey did look like for you.
So the journey of the doctoral program is more about them transforming leaders. So I already knew that I had something in me, something in my personality, something in my being that spoke leader. Every environment I found myself in, people always were like, hey, ask her. She might know. I just had this personality and a spirit about me that always put me in the forefront, but I was doubting myself. And I know we talk a lot about relationship and like imposter syndrome in our jobs, and we're going to get into that. But that
Right.
is literally the epitome of what I was experiencing. I had a job that I was qualified for, but somewhere in that job, I started to doubt myself because I wasn't as productive as they wanted me to be, because they would put too high of a standard on something. And then once you get to a point to where you're not fulfilling the way they're saying you should be doing, and you're not as resilient, and you're not handling the stress like I thought you would be able to handle it, then you'll start to enter into that self-doubt, and you'll start to question yourself, your abilities. So it was more of a, let me get back to myself. And I joined the program because they were actually
Let me
honing
ask
in.
you. You go into some key facts, and you just moving on.
I'm
Let
just
me
moving
slow,
on.
you're
Stop
moving on.
me.
Let me slow you down right there. You said
Okay.
that the piece about not being able to handle it, self doubt, and
Yes,
now they come and asking you, I thought you can handle it. You know what I'm saying?
that's
And
exactly right.
this puts me in the place, and I ask this all the time with other organizations, other businesses, when you go do interviews and stuff. I'm like, what happened to the person that was in this position prior?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because sometimes you realize it's not necessarily you. Sometimes it may be unrealistic expectations. If the person before that person before that person, everybody got the credentials. But my thing, don't get me wrong, some people can handle a certain level of stress. But
Yes.
the thing is that job requirement, you obviously people meeting the needs,
There we
but
go.
are they putting excessive amount of stuff and expectations that can't be met?
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to stop dealing with the self doubt and
Yes.
look at the job from a reality, and whether the true perspective of, is this relative for real what they're asking?
That's
And
exactly
then
right.
in order to meet what they want you to meet, what are you giving up in the long run?
That's it.
And it's gonna always be something personal with you.
Hmm. You're always going to sacrifice something, and it's going to be something personal. It may be something physical, it may be something mental, or it can even be like family, work, like life balance. We never achieve balance in our life, and
It's
that's a
gonna be the
big,
lack of.
that's the lack of.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. And in this mindset, And of course, I'm getting all into this stuff we're going to talk about today. You get to a place to where you will be willing to throw your life out of balance just to be seen. You want to give to people, so you want to make sure that your life and your work is meaningful, and you're willing to give up a nice bit, a nice deal to your work for something that's for the greater good, something that's going to help someone else. So we actually teeter with that balance ourselves because we want to do a good job, life
Well,
that's purposeful and meaningful.
I think in those situations, and this includes all of us, uh, we have to ask ourselves to go back to what is it that we are giving up, sacrificing in order to help others. But on the flip side, what do your glass look like?
Ha!
I'm
Ah!
just saying, if your glass is empty,
Mm.
you can't pour no more water out of it. But let me take a sip right here, though. Speaking of water,
Get it.
but I'm just saying. I mean, if your cup, if your glass is empty because you've given so much, there is
Yes.
sometimes come to the point there's nothing else for you to give. So it's just like having a car and there's no gas. It's gonna
Yes.
run out in due time, and you're
That's
doing
it.
more damage. Not only are you messing up, um, not only are you out of gas, now you messing up fuel injectors, you messing
There
up
you
the
go.
fuel pump, you messing up
That's right.
everything else from top to bottom back to that needs to get this thing going, all because you couldn't slow down to fix what you need
That's
to
it.
fix. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
that's when you get to burnout. That
that's when you get burnout. So let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go
let's go.
to purpose driven burnout. I like that one. Let's
You
go there.
like that?
Yeah. Get the audience what's your thoughts with that.
So within my doctoral journey, and of course, I was seeking to find myself, and that's what it was all about, seeking to find the leader within. She was already there, but seeking to rediscover her, refine her. And in the midst of them asking, well, what would your study be? And I was like, the study's going to be me. And they were like kind of puzzled, but I was like, I'm coming, from about a burnout. And in the research of it, it can take over 2 to 3 years to recover from the effects that it can have on you.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, even if you went back to work within that year of quitting another job, you would still have those effects in you, even at the other job. So you would be still trying to perform a new job and still have some stumbling blocks to deal with from the past burnout that you had from the other job. So in there, I chose or coined the topic purpose driven burnout because I was someone who was giving my life to a company because it had a great mission. The vision was solid. I believed so much in what they were doing, and I was willing to give my life for it. And I did not have balance. I did not have work life balance, or I did not have a proper etiquette to how much am I going to give to the job that I'm paid for? And then how much am I going to say no to unless I'm going to get promoted? Because I was actually doing the job of my bosses and my teammates under me. So it was like I'm taking on too much.
Look, let me tell
Yes.
you something. Let me tell you something. This is something that we all have to learn.
Yeah.
We have to be careful of how much we give because people would never be careful of how much they're going to receive. And
Not at
this
all.
doesn't have to do with just money. It has to do with your time. If you always available, if you always giving to make everybody else's journey a little bit easier,
There we
they're going
go.
to keep taking because they don't have a limit. They don't have a limit. No matter what situation that is, if a person keep taking, they
Mm-hmm.
don't have a limit because all they can do is find a bigger hand or use a shirt or something to keep grabbing and grabbing and grabbing and grasping. And here you are, you depleted. Once again, your
Depleted,
glass is empty. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing else to give. And now there you are struggling.
struggling. And it's like,
So
this is,
I want to share a couple of things. Uh,
mm-hmm.
we're going to move. Shawanda stated she uses a half a day for her self care, her therapy day. She says
Yes.
she has to get it. And then Markeisha just stated that that was my issue as an entrepreneur before I had a heart attack. Now,
There it
that
is.
brings me to your definition of the burnout syndrome, which you stated was a feeling of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion
That's it.
that can lead to the onset of depression,
There it is.
stress induced ailments, which is stroke, cardiac events.
That's
Y'all,
it.
we have to take care of ourselves no matter what. And don't
Yes.
get me wrong, some of us are in situations, been in situations, or came out of a situation where you just gotta keep hustling and hustling in order to make ends meet, in order to survive. But
Yes.
even with that, you have to find a way to balance that so you're not killing yourself. Because when all said and done, that job is gonna move on. It's gonna move on the day that you
It's
gone. And I hate to
That's
tell
it.
people that. They're gonna move on the day you gone. It ain't gonna be no week or two they're gonna hold this job in the memory of you. No, it's gone.
It's
So,
gone.
but
Yeah.
go ahead.
And I
So
was going to, the stages of it are really interesting because you should be able to tell where you are from each stage. And each stage, like I said, emotional exhaustion is the first stage. You just continue to go home and you're like, man, I'm tired. I went to sleep. I feel like I haven't slept. I'm having stomach issues. Like I'm having headaches. Like you'll just start to feel this every day. And then you'll start to go to work and then you're like, oh, I hate it here. Why am I here? You have this negative and detached attitude, and you just become unproductive. And then you just lose all your efficiency at work. Like I used to come in every day on time. I used to turn in my things on time. And now I'm procrastinating, or maybe my performance is not as good as it was when I first started. And it's not that you're intentionally doing it. I'm just overwhelmed. I'm tired. They're coming at me from every side. My colleagues are, their attitude toward their work and their attitude toward me, things are just shifting. And it's actually the burnout setting in.
yes, it's setting in because
Yeah.
when you cannot, I tell people it's the difference between sleeping and resting.
Yes.
You can go to sleep, but you're not resting. Your mind, if your mind is not resting, you're not resting. If your mind is not resting, it's not resetting. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And that's what caused these ailments that go on because to you, as a person talking, you can say, no, I'm getting 8 hours of sleep, but are you resting? Which makes a big difference. And hey, anybody get 8 hours of sleep, I'm jealous. I'm envious. Anybody that know
Yes.
me, 4 hours at the best is my max. And I'm up like they call me the newborn. They say I'm gonna get up, eat, and do whatever I gotta do. Then hopefully I go back to sleep for about an hour. Then I'll be back up. But five
Right.
hours at the max. I've always been like that. Even in college, even in high school. So it's not nothing new. That's always been my sleep pattern. So I think one time I tried to sleep for 8 hours. I think my head started hurting. I
Yeah.
think that working for me.
Your body says,
So,
stop that.
yeah, my body's man. You don't get on up from here. So let me ask you this: as you talk about you done moved on as a general manager, you want to talk about your position and all that type stuff. What is your leadership style? What do you find that what leadership style is best for you now in the job that you are in compared to what may have been best at another job?
Great question. The more that I lead in other capacities, I learned that leadership becomes situational because you never know the team that you're going to have. So I have found that I have shifted because I used to coin myself as a transformational leader and one who kind of infuses servant leadership in it. And I was posited a question one day by another doctor, and he said, "Well, I was, told that whenever you have to tell someone that you're a servant leader, then there's some deception in that answer." And I had to go back and think about it because I was like, "You can't tell anyone you're a servant leader." But I get it. Servant leadership should be seen more than spoken. But I will say my choice of situational leadership is what I call it. Is I go to democratic leadership and I want to say coaching leadership because in the capacity of what I do, you'll have teammates and staff from different levels, and each one of them have to have a different style of leader. So it is situational what I present to them, because some of them may need an autocratic leader who is going to just make all the decisions and tell them exactly what to do. But the democratic style to me just works better because I understand everyone's at different levels and everyone offers something different to the team. So if I know your skill set and I know you're going to assist me in making some decisions, we're all going to get the same benefit and equal the same success in the end. Because I don't want them to feel like they're not smart enough, or they're not good enough to be with the other side who already knows how to come in and make decisions and do great things in their own right. And some people are just like, I'm not there yet. I kind of need to be told what to do. So I kind of fluctuate between different styles just to fit the needs of the team, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
sometimes that can have some pitfalls here or there, may not always fit, but I've found that democratic for me works the best.
Well, I think as a leader, you got to know how to pivot also.
Oh, yes.
Very important to pivot because, we want to be able to treat everybody the same, treat them equally, but
Yes.
in evaluating them, you really can't. Some people, that autocratic or even that transactional leadership is more beneficial. But with some
Yeah.
people, they need a little bit more of that transformational. And what I found out with transformational, that they need a little bit more hands on. They need you to
Yeah.
walk
Yes,
through.
sir.
They need you to take get them to points A and B. And I don't have a problem with that. My thing is, where is your ownership in
Mm,
it? That's it.
mm.
I don't mind doing it, but how long is it going to take for you to take ownership?
There
Because
you go.
now I'm thinking, if I'm continuing to do your job in due time, I'm thinking I don't need you. So just
Uh-huh.
something to think about.
It is something to think about. It is definitely needed because you have to be dependent on them to do their job so you can actually do your job. And I found myself giving, so like the cons of maybe being a servant leader is that you got to spend a lot of time with them, and even transformational, like you said, you have to spend a lot of time with them, and sometimes you don't have a lot of time to finish that project or get this deadline, meet this deadline. And I need you to uphold your end because the team is going to fall if you're not upholding it with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's up. Keisha said, "Hey, Bria."
Hey, girl.
All right, so with that, let's go into the work-life balance. Let's talk about the holistic approach.
Oh,
What
man.
what, what does that look like for you? Idealistic. Tell me what you want it to look like, and then let's talk about what it actually is for you.
So, idealistically, we have 5 components that we should balance ourselves with. Now, again, we should means we have to be disciplined enough to know what they are and actually actively and intentionally work on them daily. We have the physical aspect, which of course is working out, nutrition, exercise, all that good stuff. We have the mental component, which is a big deal, and we've been getting into mental health over the last like 20 years. Has become a big thing in our nation. Just making sure our mental health is intact. It is stimulated, like people are honing into their emotional health. Emotional health is important, and your cognitive well-being. Just ensuring that you are in your right mind. Like sometimes we think that we're losing it, and sometimes we are okay, and we have to make sure that we are always checking in with ourselves because that mind is where everything starts. It's where everything comes from. Our decision making, our ability to stay focused, and our ability to make good decisions and be great comes from our mind. So we try to hone into that aspect. Emotional, social is also another one. Being amongst the people. Sometimes we get to a place where we seclude ourselves. We don't want to be around anyone. And even though sometimes that is good to cut off, shut down, and like relax and rest, being secluded too long keeps you in your mind to where you start to self doubt. Because I know one of my issues in self doubt that I dealt with in the past was I didn't have enough people in my environment who spoke positively. So if you're not doing it for yourself and you're going to be the one that is your negative tone in your mind, you will start believing that. And if you have a good environment, you will have people who will say, girl, that was a good job today. And sometimes that one little thing is what that person needed to move forward again. Then the last one is spiritual. Now, I know how some people are like, God is not a part of everything. I think God is the center of everything. And just that spirituality in you, if it's in you, it's going to come out. If you planted the seed, it's going to come out, and you're going to be able to thrive on all of the personal beliefs and the values that you have built up in yourself, the practices that you've begin to, like, some people get up and they do affirmations. That actually is a wonderful thing to do, just to get your mind in the right space. And out of all those key components, if you have all of them balanced, that is going to give you the holistic wellness to actually go out and be balanced in your job, balanced in your family. Wherever you are, you can be balanced. You'll know who you are. You know what your values are. You know what you should put in. You know what you should not put into work. You know who you should have in your circle, and you know those who should not be in your circle. Your mental health will be, yeah, your mental health is good, because if someone comes to you with something negative, you can always stop it and be like, well, I know who I am. I love Breah. So at the end of the day, there you go.
Gotta
And I
roll.
learned this at Planet Fitness. It's interesting that I hear this stuff and you study this stuff, but it made it real when I worked at Planet Fitness and I got into an environment where everyone spoke health, everyone spoke positive, everyone had affirmations, everyone was like, girl, it may not be a good day today, but tomorrow's another day. You got a new mercy to, and it was good to have that every day. It was life changing. I used to have people, you're a doctor, you work at Planet Fitness? Yes, I do, and it's one of the best jobs that I've had.
Say you know, I hear a lot of people, and you look on a lot of these Food Network shows where people, one guy was a heart surgeon, that one guy was a big time Wall Street exec. I mean, you just see a bunch of it. You know, people went and chased their dream, or what they thought was their dream, but when they went and found something else that was less stressful to them, something that they actually enjoy, and it don't feel like they're working, they feel like they can do it forever because it's what they enjoy and what they get a reward out of. And it's something about getting a reward more than a check. And when
Yes,
you can find that level of peace, can't nobody equate your level of happiness, your
that's
level
it.
of success. And that's what's wrong with a lot of people. We trying to equate and quantify other people's success according to what we think it is, and we ain't damn near successful our damn self. I want to try to tell somebody else what to do. Sit your ass somewhere. Don't get me started. I'm
Don't
always
get
ready.
started. Get
Yeah.
started.
But you know, you well, they been to shut this damn thing down. But you you said something about, you know, if it's in you, it's in you. It reminds me of one of the things one of my uncles used to always say: if it's in you, it's in you. It's like the Ragu spaghetti sauce commercial. If it's in there, it's in there. You ain't got to go looking for it. It's gonna show up. You're gonna
It's gonna
taste it. You're
show
gonna
up.
see it. If it's in there, it's in there. So that was a very good point. You know, I appreciate that.
Yes.
So let's talk about the burnout syndrome.
Yeah, man. Okay, now this is some serious stuff, because the more I researched it in my
Well, let's
doctoral,
go. Let's go. Let's get serious. Let's roll.
let's get serious just for a minute, because we think of burnout, and I will say that I've actually been working amongst people who don't believe in burnout. They think it's a cop out. They think people are just weak, things like that. But it actually is a serious thing, and I want people to actually go to, when they go to work, actually hone into certain parts of your job, especially like job environment factors. Like some people go to a toxic work environment. They have lack of resources, organizational issues, of course, work-life balance, like we always have. Maybe they don't have supportive corporate individuals. They also have unclear expectations, like all this stuff in your environment, in your work environment, create like a place where irritability starts, anxiety starts, people become sad when they have to go to work, you lack concentration, you start having issues like certain health issues start to arise, and you're like, what is going on with me? You start feeling decreased motivation, like, I'm not motivated to go to work. And then you're like, I'm going to blow all these PTO days because I just do not want to go. I will say, within the physical and emotional and behavioral part of jobs, you will have symptoms show up there. So when we're looking at symptoms of burnout, you want to make sure you look for stress. Chronic stress becomes persistent and every day, and it becomes overwhelming. If you work at a place and your work becomes overwhelming, the work environment, the culture is overwhelming, that is something to start looking into, to where you want to question, what is the state of my health? Like, start looking at yourself. What is the state of my health? What's going on that wasn't going on before? What is are health problems that are arising that I haven't had to deal with before? What becomes noticeable to you? And then when you recognize these signs, it's time for help, because early recognition is what actually helps stop the onset. Because once it's actually onset, it's a part of you. It's a part of your being.
Right.
And that is the one thing that I didn't recognize until I was already in it. I could have stopped it. And I will say, and I know I'm going on, I want to
No, you
actually
good.
hone in on one thing when it comes to burnout. I want to also bring up people who are doing meaningful work, because this is where it really needs to become important. Because as myself, you start to overgive to the point to where you're not even noticing that you're willing to overgive sleep. You're willing to overcome, like, the way people talk to you in your job. Like, you're just like, all right, they're just being whatever. I want to do this because little Timmy needs those tennis shoes, and we have to have support and donations come in, and I have to just go in and work extra hours. And I found myself working 15 hours a day at this nonprofit, and they were letting me. But they would say, hey, Breah, you need to go home. But they wouldn't say, I need you to walk out right now. Breah, go home. And then they'll just leave and be like, she's going to stay. Well, whatever. They're going to let you work. They're going to let
Yeah.
you burn yourself to the bone. And then at the end of the day, it's like, I'm so passionate about this. I'm so sorry, guys. Because it's like welling in me, going back, thinking about the days I did this. But in meaningful work, we're all have been derived to, like, do a job. Like, when I went to school, they were like, hey, we need to do work that's purposeful. What's your purpose? What's your why? And they always, like, give you this happy go lucky feeling and all the love in the air and the hope in the air. And you're like, I'm going to go do something great. And then when you get to these jobs, what they don't realize is that they're actually creating the space for you to exhaust yourself out. They're creating the space to create this mentality that of always on work. You're always at work. I need you to check your email at 10 at night. I need you to make sure you're sending in it no matter what time it is. I need you to go ahead and come in early for me. I know you're not supposed to be there till 10, but can you come in at 7? Because we got to get this stuff in. And they breathe this in you, but then they say, hey, work-life balance, guys. Make sure you have it. If the jobs were on board with work-life balance, they would actually give us the space to be off when we're supposed to be off, not send emails after 6 o'clock if we get off at 6. But they're like, I'm going to say it because I have to say it, because as a company, we have to support this overarching theme of work-life balance. But we don't have to uphold it, because we know that they're going to be like, I got to turn this email in. My boss needs it before the morning. Let's just go for it.
This is always my catch, and this is how I look at things from a different perspective.
Okay.
If I'm gone from this job,
Mm-hmm.
the person who's asking me to come in at 7 and stay at 10, I guarantee you they're going to still get the job done at their regular time. So my thing is, no, we need to have a conversation on how we going to find a balance, and it's not realistic expectation for me to work 16 hours and you work at 8. There's something wrong with that. Something's wrong with that. But sometimes we got to ask ourselves, overall, am I maximizing what I have to offer, or what I have to offer has it been maximized?
There we go.
Go ahead, Woods. That was a good.
Go ahead on, brother man.
But no, I mean, but that's being real though. Sometimes we think we're not maximizing, but we done already been maximized.
There we go. I feel
and all that causes self-destruction. which is bring us straight into this called self-destructive behaviors. All right, Doc, tell us what you got for this one.
Okay, now this is going back into the imposter syndrome. So, what happens is we go into a psychological pattern and we know ourselves to be this thing. We get into an environment and someone's trying to convince us that we are not us. We are
Right.
not the great leader that we are. We're we're not the person to do these accomplishments or make the success that we say that we can do. And then we get into like this persistent cycle where we start to internalize what they're saying against what we're saying. So now I come to work and I'm like, well, I know I can do it, but they said I can't do it. So I'm going to prove them wrong. But at the end of the day, we we impact our self-esteem when we start to believe the narrative that they start to sell, because all they're doing is they want the bottom line. We get it. The bottom line is not being met, and it's because you're not a good. Well, first of all, I am a good. I'm a good manager. I'm a good leader, and sometimes again, the expectations that they put down, the factors that they give us, the resources that they may lack, may be the reasoning why, but they have to blame someone. So then it turns into the imposter syndrome, where we are now fearful of not being enough for the job that we are hired for. We feel like we are never going to reach the goal because they keep moving the goalposts. So when I came into the job, this is the expectation, but 6 months later, the expectation gets moved a little more. And they're like, well, maybe you did meet it then, but you're not meeting it now. Yeah, because you moved the standard. You keep increasing something else. And of course, we innovate, jobs innovate and they change. But at the end of the day, the successes that they get are only because of the staff that they hire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not luck. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, you just get lucky." I had a boss say that to me. "We just got lucky this time. Next time we need you to try a little harder." And I was like, "It wasn't luck. Like I met that goal because I put work into it. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that project, and I met that goal on my own." And it's kind of like I went back home and I'm like, "Did I not meet that goal on my own? No, I know I said I did. I know I
Yeah.
can." But I did
Sometimes
go home and it's in there. Like they planted the seed. Now you're not. So now the self-doubt, that's one of the self-destructive behaviors. When you have that self-doubt and you're battling in your mind, am I good enough? Am I going to do enough? Do I have the skill? Do I have the ability?
this is why I tell people do not mix my level of self confidence with arrogance.
Ah,
I know it's a thin line, but
mm,
I'm going to bet on me
there you go.
100% of the times. I'm going to have enough confidence to know, no, I know what I signed up for.
Man.
These are the expectations. Now, if you want to act like this is a Charlie Brown cartoon series where you keep moving that football and I keep falling, then in a minute here, it's going to be a lack of professionalism somewhere.
It's going to be a
You know what I'm saying?
man.
Let's be real, because now you expecting me to do something that is not realistic.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to get to that point, and I tell people I'm confident that no matter what you say, I'm confident in me that I know what I'm doing. Now, if I'm not meeting your expectations, then say that. You're not going to try to knock down my confidence because you feel that you can get more out of me
Uh-huh.
by making me your job mirror. No, no, no. We all done gone to school. We all done got some type of education, some form, somehow. I don't give a care if it's eighth grade. You got some type of education. You got enough common sense to know that these are the expectations. Now they abusing me,
Yeah.
misusing me to
Yeah.
hope that I'm feeling a level of lack of confidence
There we
so
go.
they can get more out of me. And meaning that getting more out of me is that I'm giving them more of my time. I'm
There
giving
we
them
go.
16, 17 hours because, you stated that even them working 15 hours, you still go home, you answer phones, you answer an email. So really with some people sometimes, man, you doing 20, 24 hours
There we
because you
go.
can't not separate yourself and they're going to let you do it. And
Yeah.
you have to find a way to be confident enough to be like, hey, I done the best I can here.
There we go.
It's time to look for something else.
It's
And there's nothing wrong with that. And
it's nothing wrong with that.
you have your self-destructive behaviors identified, which I like this. And I'm gonna go into some with this. You said the relationship we create with self-image,
Oh yeah. That was it.
social influences,
Mm-hmm.
and imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Uh-huh.
what I liked about that is with this social influence, and we're
Yeah,
really
go
talking
on.
about social media. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And everybody likes to have, and I promise I'm not being comical, I'm being real. I use social media as the opposite of the nightly news.
There we go.
Nightly news reports everything that is negative in our community. Social media, you report everything that appears or that you think is positive from your point of view.
That's it.
And I'm not using this to be comical, but I'm using this to be real. You know, I love to see parents post pictures, talk about this is little tink tink on first day of school. This is little tink tink on the last day of school. All right. That's a whole lot of damn summer school kids. I ain't
It
seen
is.
nobody say that my child is going to summer school. Number
And
one.
won't.
I ain't seen nobody identify that my child was left back in the third grade this year.
And won't.
Because those are negative and you don't want to paint that picture. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you should do that. But what I'm saying is, since we talk about self-destructive behaviors, these are behaviors that we are doing to ourselves. And then
Yes.
you talk about the imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is we are becoming somebody that we are not.
And we don't want to be exposed. We are fearful that we're going to be exposed if I put something negative out there.
I'm the type person. If and I know everybody don't think like me, but I'm the type person. If you own everything that you do,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing that someone can blackmail you with.
Exactly right.
You know,
You're right.
and that's why I like to be transparent as possible. Because when you find out something, I'm like, okay, yeah, everybody knows that. And,
That ain't new.
now you done stole the thunder from them.
Thought you was doing something.
What you got now?
You ain't got nothing else. That's it.
Is that all you got? Shoot, I got some stuff, but I'm not gonna put your business out there because I don't play that tit for tat mess.
That's
You know what I'm
exactly
saying?
it. That's it.
My thing is, hey, what you do in your life and I don't give a care, man. That's your business. But what
That's
I'm
it.
saying is, like, I get so sick and tired of people trying to always con and blackmail and use things against people in order to get more stuff out of you than what is necessary. You know.
That's exactly right. I like that. And even to that point, even working in the gym, I have a lot of conversations with individuals because they always come up and they're like, well, I've been coming to the gym for like 6 months and nothing is changing. And I was like, yeah, because you're bringing in TikTok videos and them videos ain't for you, girl. That's for them. It ain't a one size fit all. Everybody has something different that they need for their body type, for what they're looking for, the results they're looking for. And this also can correlate with them now having self-doubt because now I'm doing all these workouts and I'm gaining weight and it's not working. And I'm not seeking help. I'm not seeking, a trainer's advice or someone who is knowledgeable about this. So
That's
now
the
my
catch right there.
success is, yeah,
That's the
success
catch.
for them has been moved. Mm-hmm.
Because most people don't know when it comes to weight loss. And then also, there's two things that go with it, and your trainers will tell you this. One, 85 to 95% of it is eating right. If you're
There we
trying
go.
to lose weight.
There it is.
85 to 95% of it is eating right if you're trying to gain weight and muscle mass. Now that you done got that understood and you got the cardio or you know where you're trying to build, now you got to put that together. If you only doing the 15% part of the 5 to 10% part, which is the working out part, you still making an F. I don't know nobody want a 10% on a report on no paper.
Nope,
That's still an F.
it is.
What about this whole other piece of this test? And that's what a
Yeah,
lot of us do in life. The big part of that situation, we don't want to handle that. We want to find the easy way out. And
that's
because
it.
it's easy for us. The hard thing is changing.
There you
Because
go.
you got to change your own mindset. I don't get this good looking just eating whatever I want to eat when I want to. I got to make some
There you go.
commitments.
There you go.
I'm
It's a
just being
commitment to
foolish,
look
but
this good.
I'm real. Foolish but real. Foolish but real. But yeah, that's what's up.
Yes.
People got to be careful. So, self-destructive behavior, you your own self-destruction. Like KRS-One
That's
and them.
it.
Self-destruction.
Yeah.
Wish I could
Yeah.
sing it. I wish I could sing it. All right.
Oh,
Hey, Doctor C, is there anything you want to ask me before we wrap this thing up?
I was going to ask you about leadership again, like your leadership style. What makes you choose the leadership style that you do? Because you seem like to me that when I met you, I was like,
Mm.
oh, he's a big teddy bear. But at first I was like, oh, he be giving people the business. How do you actually interchange your styles to work for you? Because I know you came from different backgrounds, like corrections was one of them,
Yeah.
but how do you mitigate going through your leadership styles as well?
Well, for me, it's always knowing my audience.
Okay.
And in knowing my audience, I feel like I had to take an assessment of where my employees are. And most importantly, I don't even start with my employees. I start with my supervisors and my managers
My.
because a lot of them be screwed up. And if they screwed up, I can't expect them to go and get an information down to the employees and for them to do what I need them to do. And what did I'm gonna tell you, the one time I lost it on a supervisor is I was walking by. They didn't know I was walking by, and I heard them telling a couple of employees, "Well, this is what he said."
Mm.
So I come here. Let me holler at you for a second. I said, if you want to lose power with your employees, keep saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, we got to do this because he said. No, you have to take a level of ownership. Even though you don't agree with a lot of the tasks or ideas or changes that's coming down, you as a supervisor and a manager going into a leader, you have to find a level of ownership to get that information to the people, own it so they can own it. If they
Yes.
see there's doubt in you, you think that they're going to doubt, you think that they're going to put it on. No, they're going to doubt you because now they
Ooh.
don't have confidence in you. And I've
Ooh.
seen that happen numerous of times. And the thing is, do you think everything that comes down to me from a organizational executive perspective that came down to me that I agreed with it? No,
Mm.
I didn't agree with it. But by the time it came to my supervisors and all the employees, man, they be like, man, Miss Wood just be making up stuff. But I'm good with that. I'm good with that because I'm going to take that ownership. And then if I believe it in due time, they going to believe it in due time, change is going to make. My
There we go.
ultimate goal is to lead people because I want you to have an organization worthiness that you're
Yeah.
going to own it, you're going to accept it, and you're going to take some responsibility in doing the job more than just coming in and grabbing a paycheck. And when I
My.
see that culture change, then I can sit back and say, I'm proud of them. I'm that type of person that goes with the old school. If something is done right, I give all the credit to the people.
There we
If
go.
something is done wrong, I'm gonna put all that responsibility on me. And I do it every day.
Ooh. I love that. That was great. Mm.
I
You come
try to
talk to
do
my people.
it. Give the power to the people. That's what I
It's a
say.
I always tell people I'll work for my team. They don't work for me.
That's
And I
but
swear. It's a
But that
big
goes
difference.
back to that thing when you talk about being a servant leader, though. How you gonna be a servant leader when they working for you, you not working for them? And
There we
then the
go.
thing is, I'm the type person. I agree with whoever told you that about as a servant leader, you don't have to announce. It should show. It should show.
Yep.
Period. And a lot of people, but the thing is, a lot of people don't know titles for leadership.
There we
Don't
go.
know what types of leadership it is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm big on the teaming approach. I like the teaming approach. I want to teach people how to use and draw off other people to become better
Yeah.
employees, because you never know whose idea that you can take and you can add something to it, and now you two done came up with a brainchild compared
Mm.
to you trying to do it all yourself. I mean, you just never know. So I just want to put people in a situation where they can grab an opportunity, accept it, respect it, and worthy of the ownership that they are working for in that organization. And I feel organizational leaders with organizational behavior and organizational development should be able to give them employees what they need to be productive.
I love that. That's
That's
it.
what's up.
You got it, Doc.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
So, anything else you want to ask?
No, that's pretty much it. You actually, I love this platform. Like, I love the raw. This has been amazing, and you keep this up. This is an amazing platform, and I think it's going to do exceptionally well because
Appreciate that. We are in 30 countries
exceptional.
now.
You do it.
We, we
The raw, the raw,
the raw
the
approach, the raw
raw
approach, baby.
approach.
We try to make this thing do what it do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So I
I
mean,
do.
it's slowly but surely we getting the message out there. We touching lives and everything that we got to do. But I have to have people on because my audience want to hear from people from different genres that or have something to offer, or have a product that they didn't know, or have a level of experience in a certain field that they realize I never knew that our people do this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So my thing is to expose the exposure, to expose other people so they can expose other people. So my
I
thing is
like
to
it.
expose, to expose, to expose, so we can all get exposure, if that
Yes,
makes sense. So,
yes.
all right. Well, as we're about to wrap up, leave the audience with a closing remark on the behalf of Dr. Breah Cunningham.
All right. Yes. Well, audience, first, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. It is really great to have insight on some of these things we deal with at work. The one thing I want to leave with you guys is that we're all on a journey and a path of becoming. Who you are is not going to be who you are in the next 5 years. But whatever you want to be, whatever you're going to be, you have to have a end goal in mind. Your success is in your mind, and that end goal is going to be your successful end. So whatever you want to be, your career path, the things you want to do, you want to write a book, you want to go and run a marathon, whatever it is, have that end goal in mind and then make a plan to get to that goal. And if you don't deviate from that plan, you're going to have pitfalls, you're going to have mountains and valleys. But as long as you have that end goal there, you can get through. You can take detours. It's okay if it takes you an extra couple of months to get there. But as long as you have that end goal in mind, you're always going to be successful. Don't doubt who you are. Don't forget who you are. Wherever you go in life, get in an environment that is going to support you and champion you. And I promise you're going to get to that success that you have in mind. God bless you guys.
All
Thank you
right
so much
now.
for having me.
All right now. For the thing I want to share with everybody is take care of yourself. No
Take
matter
care of
what that
yourself.
looks like, take care of you. Go do something that's going to benefit you. Like someone said, take a half a day from work every now and then. Take you a
Love it.
whole day. Take you a weekend. Get away. Cut the phone off for a whole
Cut the
day.
phone off.
Don't do nothing. Totally, whatever it takes for you to unplug and get you into another different perspective that is going to be about you. I just continue to encourage that because I see so many of our young women having strokes, having heart
Yes.
attacks, having
Yes.
I mean, so much stuff is going on. We talk about this every day, or having heart issues, or just having high blood pressure, or and I'm just not stopping with the women. I just because we are the ones that this is what we're talking about. I mean, it's going on with the men as well. You know what I'm
Yes, it
saying?
is.
And I just want people to take care of you by any means necessary, and let's go from there. All right, Dr. C, we thank you for joining the show. We thank you for being
Thank
on.
you.
I'm sure my listeners, they got a lot of comments, have enjoyed your time, and hopefully we'll do it again. All right,
Hopefully, we'll do it again.
we'll do it again. All right, everybody, you know how it is. You had joined in with us. Thank you for joining. Continue to like and share the show, and just always remember, small victories lead to greater success. I am Dr. Woods, and you have just been hit by the R.A.W approach.